Yo, what's up, people? Welcome to Saeed TV, and welcome to the second episode of the Tactical Show. Shout out to everybody in the building. You know what I'm saying to you. Big up everybody who's tuning in right now. What you're gonna do, guys, please smash like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, man, we're gonna start off the show. We're gonna introduce a new guest onto the show, the brother of Adam to my below. Adil, how you doing, man? You're good?
Yes, I'm doing great, man. I'm very, very, I want to thank you for this opportunity. I'm a big fan of the show, especially the tactical show, since my brother was there. I've been a fan of your channel for a while, and now I'm here. I'm very happy about it.
Yeah, man. Big up, man. Welcome, man. You know what I'm
Thank
saying?
you.
We always like to have new guests or new perspectives. You know what I mean? So big up to you. Obviously, we have in the building Adam as well. What you saying, bro? If you're good?
Yeah. I'm all right, mate. Thank you very much. Quite happy. This one will feel a bit familiar because I used to chat with my brother every day, so
Yeah, that's it, man.
I'm quite
You know
at
what I mean? Good, man. It's good to see it, man. Shout out to everybody in the building. UtdAidan couldn't make it today. He's got some things planned up, but he'll be back next week. So shout out to UtdAidan. He couldn't make it today. Ben's asking there. So yeah, UtdAidan couldn't make it today. We might be having Dominic in about 15 minutes. So he's going to be discussing, you know what I mean, the show as well. United analysed the squad, but I want to touch on the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer appointment. Adil, I'm going to come to you. Were you surprised by the appointment of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer?
Well, the appointment of the contract extension.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the contract extension, I just don't think it makes sense. And I think I watched your show that you done with Musa. I don't know if it was if it was yesterday or I don't know.
Yeah, yesterday, yeah.
And I think he summed it up brilliantly when he said, it's exactly the same mistake that we did when we appointed him as the permanent manager. Why don't there was only 1 year left in his contract. If he wanted more money, we could have given him more money. But the problem is, why are we going to give him an extension now? If he doesn't perform next year, we can't even say, okay, we'll just let the contract run out. Why? And the thing that Musa said that I thought was brilliant is when he said, like, at the end of his contract, anyways, it's not as if Barcelona or Real Madrid are going to say, look, we need to step him up. Nobody's going to want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer because, in any ways, even if people wanted him, he'd want to stay. I don't think it really makes much sense. And honestly, I don't think it was a good decision. I was a bit disappointed by it, honestly.
Adam, what do you reckon? Can you see any kind of reason as why they've given the contract? You know, when you put your kind of let's say kind of doubts about Ole, is there a reason? Maybe you can see why they're giving Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a new contract.
But that's the thing that I don't really get is I don't get the reason. I don't get the reasoning behind it because as Adil said and as Musa said, there are not really many clubs that will come knocking on the door for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. No one will take him, and that's not being harsh or abusive towards the man because he's not a wanted manager in world football, and that's the fact of the matter. I don't understand why they gave him the simple fact that they gave him the contract just after announcing Jadon Sancho, just so that he could slip in without being noticed too much, tells you that it's not necessarily a decision that they knew would go down as overwhelmingly positive or anything like that. That was sneaky. I don't understand the length of the contract, 3 years plus 1. Tuchel got 2 years, Pep got 2 years. All the managers they get 2 years. Poch got 2 years.
Yeah,
I don't understand why 3 plus 1. So no, it doesn't make sense to me. And even though we were sort of expecting it, I was still shocked. To be honest. I was still shocked.
For me, what it feels like, someone's owed a debt to someone, and he's kind of like thanking him. He's gone above and beyond.
Yeah.
He said, you know what, man, thank you very much, man. I'll give you this 4-year contract. You know what I mean? You're a good guy. And I think, to be fair, Ole, he doesn't look like a guy who's malice. You know what I mean? Like, even when I asked a lot of City fans, and I did a show today with Steve, by the way, he goes, Ole never shouted at, Ole never taunted, he never, the things of the play. He was always a good guy. And I think for me, I think that kind of sentiment, has always been that kind of feeling. And, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wasn't going to get a 2-year deal for what he did in terms of like getting the deadwood out, kind of making it a good place to come in. He did a lot of stuff that Mourinho never did. Van Gaal never did. These managers never did that. So they're thinking you went above and beyond. When they ask in the interview, how do you go above and beyond? They always ask you that question. And I always think to myself, What sort of question is this, man? Because at the end of the day, yeah, you've done the job.
Yeah.
You leave it as that. You know what I mean? Like you go above and beyond that. I don't know, but and that's a reality of it. And I think that contract extension, is it? Adil, I'm going to come up to you next. Is it just a kind of a contract extension? Because remember, Jose Mourinho got one, and he lasted his years. So is it kind of you know what? We're trying to test you here. If you sit back and you say, "Oh, I've got 4 years," you could be gone in one. But if you don't, if you do well, then you earn the 4 years. You know what I mean? Or you earn another year.
Well, see, that's the thing. But what a lot of people forget is how things work in an institution is the people who give him contract, they need to look like they know what they're doing as well. Like, by giving him a contract, the message that the board of directors are saying is, we know what we're doing. And you'll notice that every term that they use is always progress. They're always deferring success to to a later time, because they want to give you the idea that they're buying time. It's exactly what they're doing. They're literally buying time. And the proof, that's why I touched on what Musa said last night. And I thought it made sense. Why would you give it, like, in terms of business, in terms of saving money, in terms of risk, in terms of everything? It didn't make sense to give him a contract with him having still a year left in his contract. It didn't make sense. But the reason why they're doing it is because they want to convince themselves, and they want to convince more importantly our fan base that, yeah, we know what we're doing. We're giving him the contract because we're going somewhere. And that's where I personally disagree with everything that they say. I think that everything that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has done that people give him credit for, I think is debatable. And there's so many things that he did wrong. So many things.
And that situation, is it, Adam? You kind of, what we see is been a failure. Maybe the Glazers have not seen it as that. Maybe they've looked at it thinking, well, Mourinho only won the Europa League and the Carabao Cup. We're not trying to win that. We're trying to get the Premier League. So we're going to cash it on him, and hopefully that does the job. Maybe they're looking at it from that side. I'm just trying to analyze, why they've given him a contract. Maybe they're thinking this is the best man for us to win the league, in their opinion. If they create a good harmony, maybe good harmony might bring a trophy. That's what that's their ideology.
Well, the thing is, if that's what they think, then we have to question their ability and their competence as well. Because I don't know, Adam, if you agree with me on this, but if you actually rate Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in terms of what he's done, it's either you don't know much about what we used to be as a football club and our past expectations, or yourself are admitting publicly that the standards of this football club have dropped massively.
Exactly, absolutely. And you have to pick between those two. And this is a very, very, very bad choice to have. Because the thing that frustrated me the most with giving Ole the contract is it just tells me, it shows that the people in charge, and as Noureddin would say, the bankers from Brixton or whatever, Bristol
University bankers.
Yeah, that's the thing that shocks me the most is they don't know what they're doing. They don't know. It tells me that the club is not going in the right direction, because if we had a competent people in place, first, they wouldn't give him the job. To start with, they wouldn't give him a contract, and they wouldn't give him anything like that. So it tells me it's not only about Ole, because Ole, he will do a madness, and he might get sacked, and that's fine. But it tells me that they are not even ready to make the right appointment afterwards, because they really don't know what they're doing. They don't have the first clue about the thing.
Yeah, exactly. And he's spent a lot of money now, 400 million since he was appointed in 2019. A lot of people will say, net spend and all that. But again, in football, net spend, we don't really look at that, because at the end of the day, it's what you've accumulated and what you've signed, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and talking about net spend, just quickly there, talking about net spend, but they will say net spend to point out the fact that he didn't spend as much, but then they'll say he cleared out the deadwood and he made an excellent job of selling people. You need to fix up. Is it net spend or not?
Exactly. And I cannot believe that people give him credit for clearing the deadwood, because that is absolutely untrue. Because when people refer to the deadwood, they refer to players that we offered contract to and they didn't want to stay. He wanted to keep Lukaku, and Lukaku left. And by the way, Lukaku won the league with Inter. And the Herrera, exactly. Those are all guys that Ole wanted to keep. And I'm not saying that it's his fault, because I'm not trying to over criticize Ole here. But why are you guys giving him credit for things that he had absolutely no play in? He had no influence on those things. And by the way, if you sell Lukaku and you bring in Cavani, I need somebody to explain to me, how did we clear the deadwood here? Because it doesn't make sense to me, honestly.
That's true. That's true. But now that he's spent that, Adam, and you look at the squad now that he's assembled, most of his players are his team now. There's probably what Pogba, De Gea, Luke Shaw, Rashford to an extent, yeah, Marshall. But the rest of it, pretty much his squad. These are his team. When you look at it though, and you analyze the whole squad, right? Without the DM, is it good enough to win the league? For me personally, I think it is because, there's always circumstances. I think I've never seen a squad that's had a perfect, way of winning the league. There's always circumstances where they might not have this position that's perfect or this position. There's always something, but the difference always becomes a manager in terms of finding a way or finding a system to make it work. When you look at the squad, has Oli now got no excuses to kind of say, you know what, we need to be challenging properly now. No January, none of that business. Challenging properly to go and aim to win the league. Because for me, I think there's no excuses. A lot of people use the CDM as an excuse, but I don't think it is, because at the end of the day, it's about what Oli sees as personnel. He prefers personnel, because at the end of the day, he's using McFred, but there's other options available.
Yeah,
So if we would have bought CDM now and he's on a bet, say we brought, let's say for example, we bought Neves, and and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer somehow did what Donny did to Donny and said, "Oh, you know what? I don't really like this guy. He's not really. I've looked at him in training. I think, nah, not for me. This is his preference, right? So, end of the day, if he doesn't know the personnel and he's got a squad that's capable of winning the title, again, it comes back. All roads lead to the thing, doesn't it? To the manager again, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And I believe the squad is strong enough with a proper manager, competent people in place. I think that this squad is very good. This is probably one of our best squads in many, many years. And since Ole got appointed, there have been so many misconceptions going around just to make it look like he's doing a very good job. Like, suddenly, all the managers at top clubs, they get all of our targets. And Ole is the one who didn't get. No manager in world football, regardless, gets all of his signings. No manager in the world.
No.
And people will say Pep or this or that. That's simply not true. And all of the players that Pep signed, many of them, not all of them, many of them are players that my brother wanted, that I wanted, and at the time, United fan base didn't want.
Absolutely.
Didn't want. So at this moment, you need just to be honest with yourself. You need to be honest with yourself, because you cannot have a starting 11 of 11 world-class players. You cannot have that. And if that is what is required for Ole to win the League Cup and get a second place, that is nowhere near good enough. Nowhere near.
Dominic in the building. What you saying? Everything good, bro?
Man, what's going on, my man? Boy, I've not been on streams for a long time, brother. Been having my sabbatical, man. Just catch up with the family, doing the thing, man. But wow, what's going on, boys?
We're not too bad, man. Welcome to the Tactical Show. We're just discussing the squad and we're just trying to analyze, where we can see this squad going. When you look at it, Varane, Sancho, I put on the thumbnail. I don't know if you've seen the thumbnail, but there's a missing CDM option that could or could not happen. For me, it looks like unlikely if we don't really sell Pogba or someone. We need to get rid of a few players. When you analyze a squad, Dom, should we use the excuse of maybe a CDM or a midfielder to really challenge for the league? In your opinion,
you know what, man?
Regardless, you got to challenge now.
You know what? It comes back to my house analogy, man. You can build a house, but we're talking. Let's get the three little piggies and the wolf, right? The wolf's thinking, all right, look, this is my day. I'm hungry, right? It's been a long minute, coronavirus, right? So he's hungry.
Yeah.
He goes to the first house, got a bit of straw. He's like, yeah, see you later. Fine, yeah. He goes to the next one. Brick will always work. My problem is we got nice bricks now coming, but the foundation, you can have Neymar, Messi, Mbappe. If you've not got a solid spine, if you've not got that spine and that CDM, that base, that foundation, we're just gonna get exposed. We're gonna get exposed, and guess what happens, right? You have these players that come to our team with a big history, big experience, and they get choked up, man, because they're not coming into well-oiled situation where the team we're just trying to improve the team. We're not trying to improve the team. We're trying to build the team. There's a massive difference between improving and building. When you've got people like Liverpool, right, who had a formation, a tactic, you're coming onto a treadmill and you know what you're doing. You're just keeping the treadmill going, keep those flicking heartbeat going. With us, the treadmill's broke. We're trying to figure out what we're doing. Are we doing flicking dips? Are we doing press ups? No one knows what's happening. We're trying to figure out what's happening. So once you've got the likes of Varane, Sancho, it's amazing. But what did we talk about the most last season? It was McTominay and Fred. McTominay and Fred. They will be used together to make one CDM because they weren't good enough on their own. We could get the best people, but if we don't get that CDM, I promise you, we are going to be exposed. And the people that are doing it are going to look back, they're going to look back behind them and say, this is what I've got to support me. This is what I've got to support me. I need something more. We need a CDM, bro. We 100% need it.
My thing is, I understand that, and I absolutely, totally get that. But we've seen this season, though, that, you know, sometimes we've had a kind of an option of playing certain players in a position. I think, you know what? All right, that makes sense. Or this could happen, or what this could happen. But sometimes I feel like personnel is key, though, in terms of what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sees as his midfielder, you know? So we could go and get that CDM. So, for example, we go and get Neves. I use the example of Neves. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't see him as his favorite or the person who I think could do a job here, then we might not have that CDM and he could be on the bench, you know, and that's the reality of it. What Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sees is, the thing for me, the most critical thing of it all. You know, does he see a CDM as a critical priority position? You know, does he see that? Does he see that when we do play that 4-3-3, we can have that balance in there? And that's the problem. I don't think a CDM, well, I think it's important, don't get me wrong, but is it enough to say, you know what, we can't challenge for this league? When in reality, Varane will be a key figure, because then we don't have to play that 1 yard back, you know, and do what Lindelof was doing, because, you know, Varane's got pace now. We can go on the edge of the box, say, right, push on now, like Rio Ferdinand needs to do, and carry that ball forward. So I don't know what you say to that, bro.
But my only thing is, man, if you look at all the winning teams out there, they've always got a good spine. They've got a strong CDM. Look at all the people that have won leagues. No, you don't go into a CDM like, if you look at PSG, look at this. Look at Man City. They've got the spine of the. Look at Liverpool. Fabinho is playing centre back, but you know he's amazing in midfield. Each of them have a. Ndidi, Leicester City. Each of them have a spine. We haven't got that spine right now. We can have all the singing, all the dancing, but and the problem is, right, with Varane, he's not the fastest centre back in the world. I know people are thinking, oh, he's fast, but he's not 100-meter Usain Bolt.
That's a great point, by the way, Dominique, because I see people talking about him as if he's the fastest centre back in the world. He's not.
He's not. So my problem is, if we're going to try and get a gap, say, oh, we got a fast. He's not a runner. He's not. He's faster than him. I know he probably hurt his leg when he runs, but he's faster than him. So my thing is, right, I figured out what Ollie's doing. I think everybody figured out ages ago, and that's why you get Ollie Outers and Ollie Innes, right? Ollie's trying to get the best people for their positions. That's his skill. He's trying to find the best people position and say, lads, go out there, play your best. You know what you need to do. That's why we see Rashford going out, hitting brick walls every single Saturday and Sunday, because he's not being told any different. If he want to play like this and Ollie wants to rely on his players, we need to get the best in each position. Fred and McTominay will not see us challenge at all next year. It's impossible. It's impossible, because if you think about it, on the attack, great. But when we're coming back, oh, what's happening there? What about the transition from the defense to the midfield to? It's not going to work, man. It's a team game. We can't just rely on the best players up front. We can't.
I just wanted to say something, and I think I agree with everything with that you said, Dominique, about the fact that we're trying to build a team. But I think that when you're trying to build a team, there is one step right now at the moment that I feel like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is probably forgetting about, that he's completely skipping. Before you build a team, you need to decide what kind of team are you looking to build.
That's
and
true.
I think we're trying to get a CDM, but okay, what kind of CDM? We're trying to get a centre back, okay, but what kind of centre back?
Absolutely.
We're trying to bring in a striker, okay, but what kind of striker? Because there are many different nuances in world football. And when you look at Pep Guardiola, he knows the type of player that he wants. Pep Guardiola would never in a million years buy a player like Thomas Partey and Ndidi, but they're very, very good players. They're top players. I'm not saying that they're not. Some people think because I don't want to play because I don't rate him. No, it's not that I don't rate him. Ndidi and Partey work in some kind of teams. That's what I don't understand. When Arsenal signed Partey, I tweeted about it. I said it's not going to be a good signing. They brought Arteta, who's Pep Guardiola's assistant, to build a team at Arsenal that plays a similar brand of football as Guardiola with Manchester City, and then they go and get Partey, who plays for Atletico Madrid in one of the most defensive, rigid teams in world football. That does not work like that. And now that people are surprised that Partey didn't come and just be the player that he was at Atletico Madrid.
Absolutely, good point. Very, very good point. And this is exactly what my brother said. You need to figure out how you want to play football, and then making the signings becomes so much easier because you can sign, as Adil said, Thomas Partey. You can sign Jorginho. You can sign Paredes. You can sign Casemiro. You can sign Matic. All very, very good players. All different profiles. All to different teams and different managers. And this is how you decide. That my problem with Ole, he said, maybe we will try to play with one DM to go more attacking. This is the biggest red flag we can have as a fan base. It tells us that the manager, as Saeed would say, is simply freestyling. Yeah, you know what? Maybe we'll do that. My problem with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is I want to understand and I want to know, how does he himself understand football? What does he believe in? For example, Jose Mourinho is very simple. Diego Simeone is very simple. Those managers, they are top-class managers. Yeah, they're negative. Yeah, they're defensive, but they know what they do and they do it well. And they believe that
what their principle is. You know
exactly.
what I mean?
Exactly. They know, for example, Jose and Diego Simeone, the way they understand football is the mistakes you make when you have the ball are more costly than the mistakes you do when you don't. That's why they don't want to play with the ball. The moment a team has the ball and loses it, they expose themselves so badly that you can expose acres of space in behind. This is how they understand football. Pep Guardiola, on the other hand, believes that if I have the ball, I cannot concede. So everything I do is about winning that ball and keeping it. This is an entire. This is no way. This no right or wrong. There's just two different ways of understanding the game, and there are many other ways of understanding the game. I want to know, how does Ole Gunnar Solskjaer himself understand the game of football? Because the moment we know and we see how he understands and how he sees it, well, then it would be very, very easy for him and for ourselves to understand what he's trying to do.
Adam, you know what though? You know what gets me, right? Like, I think it's because we change with the weather, right? Say we wake up and it's raining, we're sad, right?
The sun comes out.
You know what I mean? The sun comes out, and then we're singing Bob Marley, "No Woman, No Cry," or whatever. You know what I mean? We change with the weather, right? So I remember in the season, we were like, "Oh my gosh, we can't play Matt Fred. We need a CDM. I don't care whatever happens. We need a CDM in the centre back." That was always the first things. We can make do with Martial. We can make do with this. We've got Ahmad. We need a CDM. All of a sudden, we get Varane. We get Sancho. It's like, oh, CDM, we can get by. No, we can't. Don't go back to what we were seeing before. Go back to it. We haven't sorted out that issue. We need a CDM. It is crystal clear. Do not forget the pass backs from Fred. Do not forget McTominay looking like a bee in a cup, buzzing around all freaking all over the place, but not getting.
Are you confident in the system, Dominic? Are you confident in
the back pass from Fred is on the coaching, is on the formation,
but it's also on the ability, Adam. It's also on the ability.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we know that. Why is he put in that position in the first?
But this is what I'm saying, because we need a CDM. We're doing a Kamehameha. We're doing a fusion half, putting two players together, trying to make it CDM. Guess what? Why don't we go out and buy one? Because I'll tell you, all this whole 4-3-3 crap, it's all freaking PR, man.
Yes,
it's PR. 4-3-3. We shouldn't be talking about. No one should talk about, oh, what formation we're playing. What big team says, oh, we might change our formation this year?
Exactly.
What big team does that?
That's a good point, Dominic. That's a good point, and I agree with you 100%. The problem is,
you know what? Sorry, Adam. The thing is, for me though, the fact that we're having this conversation, does that not tell you the whole tenure we've been in for 3 years with Ollie? That we don't know what
I'm saying.
You know what I mean, bro? Look, Man United Football Club, and we're talking about what formation we're playing.
This is who does that? Barcelona, like, oh yeah, thinking, oh wait, Perez for Real Madrid. Oh yeah, you know what, guys? Just to let you know in the papers, we're gonna try 4-3-3 this year. You're like, what?
Exactly, because you know what, Dominic, that's a very good point. When I saw that article or that leaked out, my first feeling was embarrassment. I was not excited. I was nothing. It was embarrassment. Who does that?
No one does that, man. And then you got everybody on Twitter, including me, saying, okay, we're doing 4-3-3. Let's see if we can help Ollie out. All right, Ollie, what about this formation? Text back. No, this is not how it works. They've got a massive squad and people hired to know what we don't know. They see these people inside and out. They know the players' mentality, what motivates them, what gym diet they need. They know all this stuff. But the problem is, and it goes back to this 100%, I want Ollie to do well because he's our manager and it's our club. But he is not experienced enough. He knows it. The players know it. The fans know it. Everyone knows it, but we're just hoping along the way, while he helps get back the culture, he can win something, because we spent too much money to fail. It's embarrassing. We got dominated by Palace, Burnley, Brighton. That's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Something needs to happen.
But it goes back to what we said. We go back to what we said, because he doesn't have. And again, we could blame the backroom staff, we could blame everybody, but it's the manager's job. Before you decide how to build a team, what kind of team do you want? Now, to discuss into more about a tactical nuance. If you want to build from the back, you can't play a 4-2-3-1. And Adam, I remember Adam explained it. I don't remember if it was last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
When you play a 4-2-3-1 and you want to build from the back, you can't build from the back with 2 DMs and 2 centre backs facing each other in a square. Because the moment one of the central midfielders is going to get the ball, someone will already be on his back. You can't be on a half turn. That's why Pep Guardiola plays a 4-3-3. That's why Italy, during the Euros, played the 4-3-3. And the midfielder that you play at the base of your midfield must dictate the play, must initiate. He must be good on the ball. Preferably, he has to be 2-footed. And you know what? The biggest thing that happens during these games is that defensive midfielder will rarely get blamed. I just want to take you back to a couple of seasons ago under Mourinho, when we played a 4-3-3 and Matic was at the base of the midfield. And we had Smalling at the back, and our centre-backs weren't good on the ball, and our defensive midfielder wasn't good on the ball. What happened is the 2 midfielders who played as the 8s, Herrera and Pogba, they came all the way back down to get the ball, and that completely isolated our front 3. That front 3 had guys like Mata, Lukaku, and Alexis. And what people went on and said is, Alexis is shit. They weren't getting the ball.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
they need the defensive midfielder. And you know which other team that had the same problems with their team? It's Real Madrid. They used to play the diamond with Isco, who was kind of the link between the midfield and the attack. When they reverted to the 4-3-3, Casemiro doesn't have the technical abilities to supply the attacking midfielders. Now you go and check it. Apparently, Eden Hazard's shit. Apparently, Real Madrid, it's always them that's going to get blamed. Under Mourinho, it was always Sanchez, it was always Lukaku. But the problem was the defensive midfielders that we had are not suited. You just go ahead, you take someone like Jorginho, automatically we're better on possession. The ball will get to our 8s. Pogba and Bruno will be able to supply the front 3. And once we're able to supply the front 3, we can judge them on end product. If they're not able to score goals or they're missing chances, we can say, okay, they're not good enough. But right now, that's why I think if we got someone like Ndidi or something, that would be a big mistake, in my opinion, honestly.
You know what,
let me ask you a question, Dominic.
Yeah, man, go on.
You know, when you say CDM, do we have because we have a lot of players who can be molded into CDM that could potentially play as CDM, but do you have the coaching staff to not rely on just ability? Because a lot of players have the best abilities in the world, and we could say, there's a lot of players that we think, you know what, quality player. But when they on the top level, they get found out because the system they're brought in or the kind of culture levels, what they're told and what not told to do can be the difference, taking them from this level to be wherever they want to be. You've seen managers elevate players, right? My thing is, are we kind of like focusing on a CDM profile rather than realizing that, you can get a CDM in, but if he doesn't fit into the culture of what you're doing and the coaching and the tactical management of what you're doing, because at the end of the day, any player just can't come into a team and just say, I'm this person. Maybe the best in the world. Let me say Messi and Ronaldo. I don't know. The best in the world can do that. And I'll come into a system and be like, you know what, I'm Messi. I could do this. And you know what? You're going to suit to what I do. But most players, they go into a system and they have to embed in what the manager's doing. No matter how big or small the manager is, and no matter how bad or good a manager is. Even for example, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you have to embed what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants. My problem is, I've seen a group of players that have just said, you know what, we don't know what we're doing. So it's almost become a freestyle. And then it's almost become, we've been getting games or winning games by the scruff of the neck or individual brilliance wins us a game. So I'm just thinking to ourselves, with or without CDM, this club and this manager can still challenge for a league. But I don't know what you're thinking to that, bro.
Yeah, no. Look, for me, the strategy from Ollie, because of his experience, it's a fact. He hasn't got the experience. No one can argue. No one on either side of the fence can argue. He has not got the experience. He was the first one.
He's been managing for as long as Pep Guardiola in football.
No, but I mean, at this level, bro, at this level, he has not got the experience. And he'll say that. He hasn't, right? Yeah. But what you've actually said is what he's doing. This is his strategy. He is being people that don't need to be coached. They don't need to. They're individual brilliance players. If you look at it, Bruno had the best numbers in Europe. He was doing a stupid amount of. We got him right. Look at Cavani. He knows his position. He don't need anybody to tell him where to be, how to be there. He's showing. All the commentators are going now. Oh, I wish Greenwood could do Cavani. All Cavani's doing is bending his run. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? He's bending his run, and we haven't got strikers that do the basics. Cavani does. Then we get Sancho. Again, another stat merchant, perfect player, so good, but he doesn't need coaching. He's done it. He's worked his way up through Borussia Dortmund, playing game after game. He knows exactly what he needs to do. So now we're in a situation. We bought Varane. What a surprise! Flicken won every trophy, every medal you can think of. He's
the signings make sense, doesn't it? The signings make sense.
The signings make sense because guess what? These signings don't need coaches. They don't need really molding or understand where to be. They don't need that. He's not trying to build a team of OKs to make them better. He's trying to buy the best of the best of the best. That's what he's doing. So guess what? Every time we played last season, right? Me and Adam would be talking about this. Me and Adam would be talking about this before. We haven't got a clue what's going to happen in this game. Are we going to win? Are we going to lose? We didn't have a clue. Guess what? Because it depended on the biggest players turning up on that day. Because if the biggest player don't turn up that day, we'd probably lose. And that's the reliance that's become. So guess what? If we buy CDM, I guarantee you right now, it will improve us because the best players are doing their job. But again, one Sunday, we might lose. Another Wednesday, we might win. There's no consistency because we haven't got a system that's perpetuating these players to play a certain brand of football. It is just, let me get the best players in the best positions with the best credentials, the best stats. Sancho, best stats. Bruno, best stats. Varane, won everything. Cavani, won everything. That's what we're doing at the moment. And that's it.
I hear what you're saying, and it looks like it is exactly what's happening. But then again, if I'm being honest with you guys, I don't want to hear anything about rebooting the culture. I don't want to hear anything about doing it the United way and embedding youth and anything like that.
That's not happening, man.
Absolute nonsense.
It's not happening.
Fix up.
It's not, mate. What youth have come through? What youth? The only youth coming through on the pitch is the one holding the mascot's hand. I've not seen you come through.
No,
I spoke to Steve today. We're doing the bank talk today, and he showed me the stats. We spent since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been here. We spent more than City, and in that time they've won every trophy there is possible apart from Champions League. I think they've won 5 trophies since he's been here.
Yeah, that's just what Pep Guardiola does. He wins trophies. People call him a checkbook manager, but now we have a checkbook manager that doesn't win. How embarrassing is that?
And that's why for me this is critical, Adil. I'll come up to you. This is why it's critical for us to win something this season with the squad we've got, you know what I mean? But when you look at it and you analyze the team, you know, what areas do you think that, you know, that still needs coaching in terms of what areas do you think will struggle? You know, how do you assess how he's going to manage this team now? Because now it's a title-winning squad. Let's not kid ourselves. It's a title-winning squad.
No doubt, that's definitely a title-winning squad. In my opinion, it depends. If he's going to go back to the 4-3-3, and he wants to use Pogba and Bruno in a more advanced role, for me, that's when it becomes absolutely critical that we bring the right type of center defensive midfielder in behind them that can provide them the ball so that they can go on and create in the final third. But if we keep the same shape, this 4-2-3-1, and he still tries to build from the back with guys who can't do it, and he still tries to convince us that the winger position is something that anyone can play in the wing. Like at times, you see him play Mason Greenwood, who's sort of a second striker / an inverted winger, and then he'll replace him by Dan James. Now, how could you possibly expect these two guys who are so different to be able to figure out how to play in the same position? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, in my opinion, doesn't even have a clue on how and where his own players operate best. And that to me is the problem. Because, Said, I just want to take you back to some of the games where we were playing against the teams fighting for relegation, and he kept the 2 DMs for the whole 90 minutes.
Yeah, true.
And he didn't even try to make a substitution, or he didn't try to change it. And that to me is not because he's negative or because he's a loser, like a lot of people. It's because he doesn't know much. He doesn't know.
He's learning. He doesn't know
anything else. So again, you're asking me if we're going to change it. I can give you my opinion on if he changes it to a 4-3-3 and we go get a guy like Neves. I'll be hopeful because then it will liberate Pogba and Bruno. And if these two guys could be on their day most of the games, we're going to be a dangerous team. But if he goes back and tries to do the same thing, I still expect us to have some games like we had against Sheffield, and some games where we just were so bad and nothing really changes.
What about Adam? What about losing a player Paul Pogba's ability? You know, how does that change everything? Because you go from a midfield that is already weak, and I would say Bruno's a good player, but he kind of does his own thing. You know, he doesn't really link up the play. Whilst Pogba is that glue in that midfield, really, that kind of connects. You know, the midfield base, isn't it?
Yeah, but as we said last time, Pogba is. I don't believe you can replace Pogba. And Pogba is too good. He's too good at almost everything. He is special. He's a special player. And this is where I have a problem. We talk about signing Jadon Sancho and letting Pogba go or selling Martial, but we are supposed to be moving in the right direction as a football club. You need to keep the best players at the club if you want to win and you want to move forward. There is if you let go Pogba and you bring in Sancho, I'm sorry, but we did not improve. It's as simple as that. If you bring in Jadon Sancho, you keep Pogba and you let Martial go, we did not improve either. Because at the end of the day, Cavani will be leaving as well because he's at the end of his career. We have to keep all of our players. All of our players, we need to keep them. Because that's what being a big club is. You have good players on the bench, not getting enough minutes, and they are happy to stay because this is Manchester United, and that is the standard. And it is as fans, it is our duty to just keep the standard there. We cannot have a manager spending £400 million on World Cup winners and most exciting talents across Europe and giving him the excuse that he's learning on the job. I mean, how does it even make sense? How does it even make sense? This is high-end football. This is the highest level. Manchester United, the Premier League and the Champions League, you cannot get higher level than that. We should have the best people in place.
Absolutely.
We should have the best people in place. And it's not personal with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I like him as a man. I don't really mind him. He looks like a genuine guy. He really does. For example, Jose Mourinho, I cannot stand the man. As I say, I cannot stand Jose. That felt personal with him for me. With Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it's not that at all. But my loyalty goes to the club, and it does not go to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer because Sir Alex left, Bex left, Ronaldo left, Rooney left, Giggs left. They all left, and Pogba will leave, and that's fine because I will still be a Manchester United fan, and Pogba will go, and we will move on, and we will try to win again everything that there is to win. But we need to keep moving in the right direction.
Somebody in the comments is making an absolute great point. He's saying it all comes down to the manager. Because if it was all about the players, the Galacticos would have won 6 trophies every year. That to me just sums it all up. So
golden generation as well, Tom.
How about Figo, R9, Beckham,
Raul?
The Galacticos had everything. They had everyone, and they weren't the best team in the world. Actually, Man United at the same time was a better team, and we had guys like O'Shea, we had guys like Darren Fletcher.
Bro, we played 7 defenders against Arsenal 1. Do you know what I mean?
But that just sums it up. So that's why a lot of people, when they go on and they talk about, we just need this and we're going to win. We just need this and then we're going to win. To me, they don't understand that's the PR that the club is trying to. I recently we were on a space, I think, with Johnny, and someone literally said, all we need is Haaland. Like the whole world football wants Haaland. Like you can't just come out and say all we need is Haaland. I mean, that's a very easy thing to say. All we need is Haaland and we're going to win. And this general knowledge, this thought, this belief that all we need is individual players, it's killing us, man. It's really, really killing us.
You know what I'm thinking around, right? People are saying like, okay, we've got to see progress. And if you look at last season and where we finished, progress is winning something this season. We all agree, right? We all got to win something. We have to.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So let me just deep this for a second then. So we've got to beat Tuchel, flicking Pep Guardiola, we got to beat flicking Klopp, right? So you're telling me that we've got to beat all those people and they've also got fantastic teams. Is that actually going to happen? Because I'm telling you right now, I'm being right honest with you. If that happens, I'm going to get a tattoo, Ollie, on my shoulder. I'll get it. I'll get a tattoo right there, Ollie. Because I'll tell you right now, if he's going to, by the way, there's no way, I don't care if anybody sees, I'm not getting a tattoo. But anyway, like, if he beats the most decorated managers in the game, are you kidding me? They're being realistic, right? Realistic. They are experienced. They've got the squads. They've got the team. They've got the infrastructure. They haven't got a leak in their roof, right? They are primed to win anything.
They're already ready.
Look at me. Every season, we see that Man City are going for 4 trophies. every season, and all we're hoping is that they lose at the final hurdle, so they don't
Even
take away
Liverpool
our
are doing
trophy.
all 4 trophies now. Before that was unheard of. Doing all 4 trophies.
This is what I'm saying. And you know what? You know what really gets to me, boys? Right? We've got so. This is. Say I'm trying to build a nice garden. I want some sunflowers. I want some roses. I want to smell it. Right? We've got so many weeds. If you look at our team, right? There's so many players that they need to go, and it's not a disrespect to them, but we're trying to build a team. Andres Pereira, Phil Jones is still there. I'm thinking to myself, what are we building? There's so many players that are playing on these preseason games that will never play a game of football. They are taking the budget, they're taking the spots of other people. Yeah. And the worst thing, the people that we love, they tend not to play. They tend not to play, and it just baffles me because we've seen people like, look, I'm not saying Palestri's got to play. I'm not going to be one game, yes, get him in. But when you're comparing him to players that we have been playing, it don't make no sense to me. It doesn't make no sense to me in terms of the quality, the touch. Ahmad can have a place in his team. Donny should have been given more chances. It doesn't make any sense to me what we're doing. It's just it just gets to me, man.
Doesn't make sense at all. And then now, as you said, we have preseason. We play all the kids and the players who should not be playing. The season will start. We'll start probably with a heavy loss or an embarrassing draw. And people will say, yeah, but the first team players, they didn't have enough preseason game and this, that, and they are not fit. Well, I mean, come on now. Yes, of course, I understand that many of them were on holiday and they are only coming back. But now I need to see Donny play. I need to see Bruno get some game time, because I don't want that excuse when the season starts. I really don't. And then last season, he said we didn't have a preseason and the players were not fit and whatnot. And then we got an easy draw against Luton, and I don't know, in the League Cup or in the FA Cup or whatever. And he played the B team. He played Igalo. He played the players that did not play for the rest. I mean, this is something that you should consider as a preseason game to get the fitness up. Exploit the opportunity you have. He plays the B team, and then we play against Crystal Palace. We get pumped. I mean, make it make sense. Make it make sense.
And
there's nothing going on, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing for me. I think this team is a very good team, but again, like I always say to it, you need to have the man who's, can use the tools wisely. And I just hope next season he believes in himself and he believes that he can do it, because there's one thing kind of like in your head having an alter ego and thinking that you may be able to do it. But there's one thing putting it into practice. And I just don't firmly believe with the coaching staff he has that he can do that. And that's my worry. It's not even just him, by the way. I don't blame it on him. But my thing is he hasn't really gone and changed his backroom staff. The one that's failed with him for about, last 3 years, you go and refresh things. Ferguson used to do it. Carlos Queiroz, he came in and helped him in, you know what I mean? And then he got the Mulliston guy, another tactical coach who helped him in. You have to understand there's no kind of feeling towards you that, you're a small man, or, you kind of, we're going to talk down on you when you can't be helped. Everyone can be helped in life, that's how people roll. And I think for me, the coaching staff, are they there are they the best people to guide him? That's what I asked you guys. Are they the best to help him out? Say, you know what, we shouldn't try this, or Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, let's do this, or let's try this. And that's
you know what it is like. If you haven't got the let's say experience, surround yourself with people that know. Surround yourself. That's
what they all say though.
This is what I mean. Like, it's not. They always say, oh yeah, Cavani's come, so that means they'll help Greenwood shoot better and score better. It's such an easy comment to say, but you've got to think about it realistically. Okay, if we went for each player, right, we can understand what's going wrong. We see it every week, and what gets me, I don't understand that if we can see it, they can't see it. Bruno is being allowed to do whatever the brother likes. If he drove on a golf cart and started trying to kick the ball, people would be like, yeah, no problems. Do what you got to do.
Go on.
You should be telling Bruno that you are playing as a CAM. Guess what CAM's supposed to be doing? They're supposed to be collecting the ball, finding space, being in that pocket. I see that brother chasing down a keeper more than the freaking strikers. What's he doing?
I know.
Look, what's he doing? David Silva. I never saw David Silva in a primary career chasing down the keepers. No, because he's thinking to myself, I've got to create space. I've got to be an option. I've got to be the first person when the CDMs in the midfield get the ball. I'm in space. I'm creating space. Look at Kevin De Bruyne when he plays in the centre. He's collecting it. He's progressing. You know what players I love the most? When they receive the ball on the half turn and go. See you later. I don't want any of this like, oh, I'll pay the way I'm facing. Forget that rubbish. You're here and paid the big bucks to do something. So you got Bruno doing whatever he wants, a bulldog, right? Who's not been fed, so he's trying to get food from everywhere. And then you've got Rashford being told, oh, Rashy, just get the ball and run down the wing. You can do it, mate. Keep going. Keep trying, mate. No.
Rashford.
We know you can do some spark and magic. We know you can do a through ball or a cross, and it's perfect. But let's just keep the ball for a bit. Let's keep the ball for a bit. If the option's not there, don't do it. And that's what Sancho does so well. Sancho is a bit more efficient with the ball. If it's not on, he'll keep it and retain it. And I hope Rashford learns from the brother. And if you're looking at, like, for example, flicking Scott McTominay, he's not a CDM. Fred, he's not a CDM, but they're supposed to be playing a CDM role. One's supposed to hold, one's supposed to go forward, but they don't know who's going forward in the match. They're like, oh, over to you, mate. There's so many things that need to come, and it comes from the system and the coaching that we have, which makes me feel like I don't know when we're going to win a trophy because we haven't got the mentality and we haven't got the system of playing. And that's my worry.
System is key, boys. Adam and Ado, system is key, man. You know what I mean? And that's the reality of the squad. When we analyze it, you know, we can have a bunch of Galacticos, like Ado said, but in reality, you need to embed it. And that'll be the key message next season of, you know, what do you do? You know, for all we know, Varane's not even a first option. We don't know yet, by the way, you know, because it's Oli tax, remember? You got to realize it's Oli tax. Varane might be benched, you know, first 5 games of the season.
Probably.
To read the DNA handbook. I always told you about the DNA handbook. I think Donny didn't read it. You know, I'm being honest with you, man. Donny didn't read it. It's been told you, you know what I mean? You have to sit your GCSE handbook of DNA. So until he does that, he's
my fear, honestly, is that, and that's what kills me with Oli as our manager and the way we play football right now, is that I'm just terrified of, especially for Sancho. I'm less worried about Varane, but especially for Sancho, I'm so scared that he's going to come in, he's not going to play like Dortmund because we're not well drilled and well coached as Dortmund, and then people are going to start slander him. And when you're an experienced guy who can take it on the chin, that doesn't really bother you. But when you're a teenager and you're still a young player, I'm afraid what could happen. And because this fan base can get brutal, and we saw it with the World Cup. Rashford, Saka, and Sancho for missing a penalty. I mean, everybody misses penalty. You can take the best players in history of football; they've all missed penalty. And they just get on their backs, and that's the thing that scares me. And that's another thing I put a lot of blame on Oli, because you look at a guy like for me, it's Fred. For me, Fred is the best example. There's people questioning his level, and people questioning how good of a player he is when he's not to blame for everything. And I'm not saying that he's been world class every time, but the amount of hate and the amount of criticism that guy gets that's not warranted. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy, and that's what scares me, honestly. This. In this for the upcoming season.
Adam, are you worried that we're not really going for a CDM? We're going for Saul, but again, you know, we talked about, and that's why I said a player could look like a CDM, or we want a CDM, but you know, sometimes you know you can fit that player into being number 6. You know, if you had a good system and had a good kind of philosophy in with it. Are you surprised we're not linked with a CDM or any kind of one? Because, you know, they're saying that we need to sell before we buy any kind of other midfielder now.
Yeah, but
by the way, as well, Ollie's come out and said that they're hoping to get one more. He's come out and said that, so it's got to be a CDM.
One more signing.
Well,
yeah,
they said right back.
Kieran Trippier.
It might be Kieran Trippier, actually.
Oh, it could be. Yeah. Could be.
Yeah, and
I reckon it has to be because Dallo will go, and then he's not got a backup right back, has he?
That is shocking. How can you go and get Kieran Trippier? Talk to me about United DNA and buying young players. Then you let go of Diego Dallo, and we need another midfielder. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
That's my problem. I'm very logical in my thinking. I do not get. I like to understand where how does the man think? How does he think? This is my problem. For example, Saul Niguez, people.
Original thinking. I'll tell you that. That's the answer.
I'd keep Diego Dallo. I'd probably even start Diego Dallo because as much as Aaron Bissaka is not the biggest issue, I have a hard time believing he's actually a footballer, let alone for Manchester United. But then again, he's not the biggest issue at the club, and I have to give him that, and he's doing a job. He's a body doing a job. But then I'd go for Ruben Neves because it's 35 million. I think
I'll go for that 100. I'll bet that 100%.
Ruben Neves. He's a very, very good footballer.
He's exactly what we need if we're being honest.
Midfield 2, midfield 3. He's a good passing range. He's used to a coach who's giving him instructions, so he will come with a certain knowledge, a certain background with him. He knows how to defend, he knows how to sit, he knows how to make a pass, he knows how to shoot. He is the sort of player we should be getting. He's 25, I believe. We should go and get that because Saul Niguez, we always link to get at least link to.
We're not getting him, man. We're not getting him.
Oh, yeah. Another guy fan, man.
And like Dominic, like you say on Twitter, Dominic, if his name was not Saul Niguez,
this is what I mean, man.
Who would be interested in the man? Of course.
If he was called Stephen Jones, man, no one's buying Stephen Jones.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And it goes back to what I said earlier about Partey. It's again, we're trying to get a player that's going to fit in, and it's a team that wants to play attacking football, and we're going to get the guy that plays for Diego Simeone from Atletico Madrid. Someone who's very defensive in his game. And don't get me wrong, again, a lot of people would think that I'm slandering him and saying that he's not good. He's a very good player. But being very good doesn't mean that you're what we need. What we need with a player like with Neves, he will improve Pogba and Bruno. And that in itself,
100%.
That in itself is worth much more than 35 million. Because if we bring you and then we unleash Bruno Fernandes and we unleash Paul Pogba, and properly unleash them, they're just constantly going on the front foot, our team is going to be much better by one midfielder. Just one signing in midfield, our entire team improves. And just touching back on what Adam said about Dalot, and I'm just asking you the question because I don't want to take it for granted. Does anyone here feels like he's had a proper chance to prove himself?
Mate, come on, man. No one's had a proper chance, man.
The fact that we're going to go and spend like actual peas on Kieran Trippier, and Diego Dalot is right here, hasn't even had a chance. To me, that just speaks of the favoritism that's been employed by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer since his arrival.
You know why, though, guys? Finding the CDM doesn't make sense for this club in terms of they don't know what kind of CDM they want. They don't know what system they want to play in. They don't know what kind of profile they want. So, for me, like, the signings that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is okay. We give credit to him in terms of getting Maguire, Wan-Bissaka. We're trying to shore up the defense, right? Okay, I understand it, but when you deep it though, Wan-Bissaka was available. We needed a right back. Maguire was available. We needed a centre back. You know who else was there? Dan James was what's it called? Was a recommended
scheme.
Yeah, there you go. Donny van der Beek. You know it was available and he wanted to leave. Okay. But then again, it wasn't his signing. So most of the signings, I would say, you know, Bruno, we needed an out-and-out centre attacking midfielder. We got him available.
You know what, Saeed, though? Bruno's not a CAM, bro. He's an 8.
Well, they know that well. That's what
he did it.
I mean, it's obvious, by the way. It's obvious that he's not a 10.
Well, yeah, exactly. I've always said that, but you know, a lot of people just go sick at me and say, "Oh, you don't know anything about football."
You know what's so funny? He's a box-to-box because he's actually playing like a box-to-box. What a surprise. He's defending and he's running up past the freaking strikers.
Exactly.
And this is the problem, though. I get this, right? So don't you look at your team and gel it together? You know, you play Tetris, right? You're trying to just fill it in, just fill it in together. All right, this is my team. This is my squad. Let me figure out how I can get the best out of my squad. I bought Bruno because I know he's a stat pad and he's so good. He's so effective. But he's not really a CAM. The coach who sold him said he's not a CAM. He's an 8. So let me figure about this. All right. Maybe I need to play a 4-3-3 because, to be fair, 4-3-3 got me this job. So let me just think about this. All right. Let me play Bruno as an 8. Let me get like a CDM. I don't know. Get Matic there. People say, oh, he's really slow. I get it. But when you've got a defender, play Bailly then because Bailly's quite fast to make sure that he, just in case. You start gelling things a bit, right? Get a fast centre back. Then you've got flicking Matic there. You've got Bruno there and you've got Pogba. Who can play there? If Bruno goes forward, Pogba will stay back a little bit. It just makes sense. Why are we not seeing that? Why are you not playing the people where they want to play? It doesn't make sense to me.
Again, the people, just to answer the people who say, okay, well, Matic is too slow. Like Busquets and Pirlo played in that lone system.
Well, there you go. Then exactly.
This is what I'm saying.
People talk and they say some things and they believe what they're saying, and they haven't got a clue.
And the propaganda is for a player to be quick. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, to be quick. So what page is that? What page is that about? You got to be quick to have United.
There's 23 chapter 2. You know what I mean? I'll let you read the last one. But guys, we're gonna have to wrap up now. It's flown by the hour. You know what I mean? Shout out to everybody involved. Adil, good debut, man. Definitely gonna have you on again, man. Good
Thank you. Appreciate it. Enjoyed it.
I mean, and let them know where they can find you.
Man, I'm like you could see my I put my Twitter on my name. It's at the Red Knight. You could follow me on Twitter, and that's pretty much where I speak about football content. That's where you can find me.
Yep, there you go. You can see it right there, people. Shout out to Adil. Make sure you follow him on his socials. Dominic, man, when you get your channel back up running, man, hopefully you can get it back up running.
Yeah, man, I've got to look after my kids, summer holidays with their missus. But yeah, no, I mean, you can find me on Twitter, United Source MEFC, and I'll be back for the start of the season on United Source and Wingers. Everybody says I look like Rants and Flex. Okay, all right.
I know everyone used to say that, man. You know what I mean? It's one of them, man. You get me, man. Yeah, big up to yourself, Dominic, for coming on. Hopefully, if you're welcome, more than welcome. We do this every Wednesday, 6 o'clock.
Always, man.
Let me know when you're free and whatnot. Adam, big up to you, man. Adam Manred as well. Shout out to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, mate. Enjoyed it. Very nice to have a chat with you, Dom. It's been a while.
Mate, I love you guys, man. You honestly, I had to double check now. I was like, is that Adam twice? What's going on there?
Yeah. It's good, man. Brother love, man. Brother love. But yeah, man, people. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Shout out to everybody involved. We've had over 500 people watching. So love to everybody who's tuned in and supporting the channel as always. If you can, hit the like button. You know what I mean? It's always a pleasure for you guys to support the channel. So smash the like button if you've enjoyed this video. And then subscribe if you're new. Subscribe to the rest of the guys over here. And yeah, we're going to see you soon. Hopefully I'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. man. I've already recorded that, so that'll be out tomorrow. And yeah, we'll see you soon, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.